Hi, I'm Alina, and this is the story of how the fashion empire I built with my own two hands was nearly unraveled by my sister, who believed a brand was built on Instagram followers, not on the integrity of a perfect stitch. For 6 years, I was the soul and the skill behind Atelier Rosa, a name that became synonymous with timeless elegance and sustainable luxury. But I learned a hard lesson: when success is tailored, there will always be someone in your family who wants to cut you out of the picture and claim the design as their own. It all started with the quiet hum of a sewing machine in the back of Rosa's Stitches, my grandmother's old-world tailor shop. It was a place frozen in time, smelling of chalk and steamed wool, but it was dying. My grandmother, Rosa, had been a master craftswoman, but after she passed, my mother kept the shop open more out of sentiment than sense. It barely made enough to pay the rent. My older sister, Isabella, found the place mortifying. She was a rising star in the world of social media, a fashion influencer with millions of followers who lived a curated life of borrowed glamour in New York. "This place is an antique, Mom," she'd say during her fleeting visits, wrinkling her nose at the bolts of fabric. "You should sell it and move on. The future is fast fashion, not hand-stitching." I saw its potential. I hadn't followed Isabella into the world of marketing and trends. I had inherited my grandmother's hands and her passion. I went to design school not to learn what was trendy, but to master the art of draping, pattern making, and construction. I could build a gown from a sketch to the runway with my own two hands. While Isabella was posing with designer bags, I was learning the secrets of a perfect French seam. When the bank sent my mother a final foreclosure notice, I stepped in. "Give me 1 year," I begged her. "Let me use my savings and take over. If I can't make it profitable, I'll help you sell everything myself." My mother, seeing no other hope, tearfully agreed. The first thing I did was clear out the clutter. I polished the old wooden floors, painted the walls a soft ivory, and displayed my grandmother's intricate hand-drawn patterns like works of art. I rebranded the shop from Rosa's Stitches to Atelier Rosa. Then, I started to create. I didn't do simple alterations. I began designing and sewing my own small, capsule collections. My philosophy was the opposite of Isabella's world. I sourced sustainable, high-quality fabrics, organic silks, ethically farmed wool, and recycled cashmere. My designs weren't trendy, they were timeless. Each piece was meticulously constructed, designed to last a lifetime, not a season. In a world of disposable clothes, I was selling art.at first. It was slow. But then a well-known actress, tired of the flashy labels, wandered into my shop. I designed a simple, elegant silk gown for her for an awards ceremony. The next day, every fashion magazine was asking, "Who is Atelier Rosa?" The dress went viral not because it was loud, but because it was perfect. The craftsmanship was undeniable. After that, the brand exploded. We were featured in Vogue. High-end department stores wanted to carry my line. I had to hire a small team of skilled seamstresses, whom I trained myself in my grandmother's techniques. I worked day and night, my fingers raw from the needle. But I was building something real, something with integrity, and that's when Isabella decided to come home. Her influencer career had hit a plateau, and she saw the glittering success of Atelier Rosa as her next big opportunity. "Alina, this is amazing," she said, feigning sisterly pride as she walked through the bustling workshop. "You have incredible talent. But you're an artist. To turn this into a true global powerhouse, you need someone who understands branding and the market." She convinced our mother that her business acumen was the missing piece. Before I knew what was happening, a new corporate structure was formed. Isabella appointed herself CEO and creative director. My new title? Head of production. I was relegated to the workshop, tasked with overseeing the technical execution of the designs. "You focus on making the clothes, little sister," she said with a dismissive wave of her hand. "I'll handle the vision." The next few years were a nightmare of 1,000 cuts. Isabella became the face of Atelier Rosa. She was the one being interviewed, the one accepting design awards, the one gracing the covers of business magazines as a fashion mogul. She would talk at length about her commitment to sustainability and her design process, while simultaneously pushing me behind the scenes to cut costs. She wanted to replace my Italian silk with a cheaper Korean polyester. She wanted to move production to a fast fashion factory overseas to increase margins. We fought constantly. "You're a sentimental seamstress, Alina," she'd yell. "I'm building a billion-dollar brand." The breaking point was our first official show at New York Fashion Week. It was the culmination of everything I had worked for. The collection was my masterpiece, inspired by our grandmother's journey, with every piece showcasing the intricate, signature embroidery technique she had taught me. I had spent months perfecting every look, pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into the collection. The night of the show, the energy was electric. The front row was packed with A-list celebrities, top editors, and buyers from around the world. As the final model walked the runway, the applause was thunderous. This was my moment. Backstage, I felt a surge of pride and relief. Then, Isabella stepped onto the runway to take the final bow. The applause grew louder. I waited for her to call me out, to acknowledge the actual designer. Instead, she took the microphone. "Thank you all," she began, her voice resonating with practiced confidence. "This collection represents a new beginning for Atelier Rosa. It represents our transition from a small, artisanal house to a true global fashion player." My heart began to hammer against my ribs. "To lead us into this bold future," she continued, "we must embrace change and innovation. We must be faster, more accessible, more in tune with the rhythm of the modern world." She paused, her eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on me, standing in the wings. Her expression was pure, cold dismissal. "My sister, Alina, has been the heart of our workshop," she said, her voice dripping with false sentiment. "Her technical skill as a seamstress is truly remarkable. She is a master of the old ways. But as we scale, we need a design vision that is focused on the future, not rooted in the past." She delivered the final, devastating blow. That is why I am so thrilled to announce that we are launching a new, more accessible line, and we have brought on the incredibly talented Marco Rossi, formerly of Zara, to lead our new design team. It's time for the brand to move beyond its niche, handmade origins. The room filled with murmurs. I stood frozen, the applause for her speech feeling like blows against my body. She hadn't just replaced me, she had publicly defined me as a relic. A skilled but irrelevant craftsperson whose time had passed. A simple seamstress. I looked at my mother in the front row, who was clapping, tears of pride for Isabella streaming down her face. She wouldn't meet my gaze. I didn't cause a scene. A cold, hard clarity washed over me. I turned and walked away from the stage, away from the flashing cameras and the whispers. Isabella thought she had one. She had the stage, the investors, the new vision. But in her haste to build a fast fashion empire on my foundation, she had forgotten a few crucial threads. She forgot about the trademark I filed 5 years ago. And more importantly, she forgot about the unique, complex Rosa stitch that was in every best-selling piece we had ever made, a technique so unique, I had it legally protected. She thought she owned the dress, but she was about to find out. She didn't even own the pattern. The sound of the applause for Isabella faded as I walked into the cold New York night, but a different sound was beginning in my mind, the sharp, satisfying snip of shears cutting through thread. The show wasn't an ending, it was the start of the final fitting. Isabella thought she was dressing a new brand for success, but she was merely a model trying on a garment she didn't own, and I was the tailor about to make the final, decisive alterations. Didn't fly home the next day. I stayed in New York and met with my intellectual property lawyer, a woman as sharp as a dressmaker's needle. "She really did it?" she asked, looking over the press clippings from the show. She demoted you in front of the entire industry? I nodded. Good, my lawyer said with a thin smile. That makes the narrative clean. Let's get the notices ready. I gave Isabella a week of rope. I let her bask in the glow of what she thought was a triumph. I saw the interviews she gave, talking about democratizing luxury and that exciting new direction for Atelier Rosa. She announced that Marco Rossi's first capsule collection would be previewed for major buyers in a month. She was moving at the speed of fast fashion, completely oblivious to the fact that she was driving a stolen vehicle towards a cliff back at the workshop. The first signs of trouble were brewing. As I predicted, Isabella tasked Marco with creating a collection that had the DNA of Atelier Rosa but at a more accessible price point. That DNA was my grandmother's signature embroidery, the Rosa stitch. It was a complex, interlocking chain stitch that created a unique, raised texture. It was our most recognizable feature. And Marco Rossi, for all his experience with mass market trends, couldn't replicate it. I got calls from my loyal seamstresses. Alina, this is a disaster, whispered my head of staff, Elena. This new man, he wants us to use a machine to copy the Rosa stitch. It looks terrible, like a cheap knockoff. He's getting angry, blaming the equipment. But we know the truth. Only you can do it perfectly by hand to guide the final machine pass. He's trying to fake a soul. I told her to do exactly as he asked and to keep the flawed samples. A month later, Isabella hosted her exclusive preview for buyers from stores like Bergdorf Goodman and Net-a-Porter. It was held in a sleek, soulless showroom. She presented Marco's collection with a grand flourish. But the buyers weren't fools. They ran their hands over the flimsy fabrics. They inspected the seams. And most importantly, they looked at the sad, clumsy attempt at the Rosa stitch. I wasn't there, but I heard about it from 3 different sources. One of the lead buyers, a woman who had championed my brand from the beginning, held up a blouse and said coolly, Isabella, the soul of this brand is in its craftsmanship. This has no soul. This is a ghost. We won't be placing an order. One by one, the buyers walked out, leaving Isabella and Marco standing amidst racks of their cheap imitations. That was the moment for punch number 1. The next morning, a legal courier delivered a cease and desist letter to Isabella's office. It wasn't about the name. It was about the stitch. The letter formally accused Atelier Rosa Incorporated of attempting to infringe on U.S. design patent #D824 for 17S, the Rosa stitch, legally registered in my name 2 years prior. It demanded they immediately destroy all infringing samples. News of the legal filing was leaked to a major fashion trade journal. The story wasn't just about a failed collection anymore, it was now about a potential intellectual property theft scandal. Isabella was in a full-blown panic. I could picture her screaming at her lawyers, who would be telling her that a design patent is ironclad. She couldn't produce her new line. Her star designer was a fraud. Her buyers had fled. She was hemorrhaging money and credibility. That's when I delivered punch number 2, the knockout. A second courier arrived with a second letter. This one was about the name. It informed her that she was in violation of Federal Trademark Registration number 879402220 for the brand name Atelier Rosa and its logo, which were also owned by my personal holding company, not the corporation. Now, she was truly trapped. She couldn't produce her new clothes because she couldn't use my stitch, and she couldn't sell anything at all because she couldn't use my name. Her entire company was a house of cards, and I had just pulled out the 2 cards holding it all up. It was then, and only then, that I agreed to meet with her. I walked into the workshop, my workshop, and found her and my mother waiting for me. Isabella's perfect facade had crumbled. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed with fury and fear. My mother just looked lost. This is blackmail, Alina. Isabella shrieked. You've been planning this. You set me up. No, Isabella, I said. My voice calm and steady. I spent 6 years building a brand based on quality and integrity. You spent 6 months trying to gut it and slap your face on it. I didn't set you up. I just protected my work. Something you, as a business mogul, should understand. What do you want? My mother whispered, her voice trembling. We're family. You made your choice about family the night you clapped while she threw my life's work away, I said, my voice softening slightly for my mother, but firm. This is a business discussion now. I placed a folder on the cutting table. You have 2 options. Option 1, I do nothing. I let my lawyers proceed. I'll sue the company for trademark and patent infringement. It will be a very public, very ugly lawsuit that you will lose. The company will be forced into bankruptcy. Your reputation, I said, looking directly at Isabella, will be so toxic you won't be able to get a job as a department store perfume spritzer. You will be a case study in business schools on arrogance and failure. And option 2? Isabella asked through gritted teeth. Option 2, I said, pushing the folder toward her. You and Mom sign these documents. You sign over your controlling shares in Atelier Rosa Incorporated to me. You, Isabella, will receive a small severance package, contingent on signing an ironclad NDA that prevents you from ever discussing this brand again. Mom, I said, turning to her, you will retain ownership of this building, the original tailor shop. It will be my gift to you, so you will always have a piece of Grandma Rosa's legacy, unburdened by debt. You want to take everything, Isabella whispered. There's nothing left to take, I corrected her. The brand's reputation is in tatters because of you. The buyers are gone. The new collection is garbage. I'm not taking a thriving company. I'm salvaging a shipwreck you steered into an iceberg. I'm offering to save my own work. I walked to the door. You have until the end of the day to decide. After that, my lawyers take over. By sunset, the papers were signed. My first act as sole owner was to call a meeting with my original team of seamstresses. I told them the fast fashion experiment was over. I then personally called the buyers who had walked out, explained the change in leadership, and promised them that the soul of the brand was back. Today, Atelier Rosa is more successful than ever because it is authentic. It is a testament to true craftsmanship. I launched a new, even more intricate collection last season, and Vogue called it a triumphant return to form. My mother still helps out at the shop sometimes, a quiet understanding having passed between us. The wounds are healing. As for Isabella, she took the money and moved to Milan. She tried to rebrand herself as a creative consultant, but the fashion world is small and stories travel. No one would touch her. The last I heard, she was running the social media account for a mid-range hotel chain. She built her identity on a projected image, and when the lights went out, there was nothing left. She learned the hard way that you can't fake a good design. A brand, like a well-made gown, needs strong, invisible seams holding it together. She never bothered to learn how to sew.